everyone to the Linke Rheinstrecke preview stream. Welcome. You're probably wondering, where's JD? Who's this person? Well, I'll be replacing him as the slightly less handsome but equally charming host tonight, and I'll be joined by Lukas. Say hello. And I'm also joined by Matt Bedelston, who is driving the loco tonight, so we can have our leisure and lean back and host the stream for you all. So Matt's here as well.
Hello, everyone.
And let's get into it. Welcome to the stream. Now, we're going to be showing Linke Rheinstrecke. Of course, there's a 10% pre-order discount available now on Steam. But Lukas, do you mind explaining to us a little bit about the route? What makes this route so special?
Oh yeah, sorry, I muted myself. I have no idea why, but you can hear me now. Well, Left Rhine, Linke Rheinstrecke. It's a very iconic German route, one of the main freight routes through Germany, and has been for a long time. And it's been pretty wished for quite a while. And there was the opportunity to finally go back in time and do a 90s route, and we grabbed it. And yeah, it's a very scenic route. It's a very nice valley. We again used our. We can get into that later, how we did that. But
yeah, the scenery is absolutely fantastic across the whole route, and it's a 57-mile route, which is about 92 kilometers. So it's from Left Rhine, from Mainz all the way to Koblenz, and it's set in 1997. So very, very non-modern actually. So it's exciting, and I think what better way to just get right into it. Let's dive into the route. Will there be any leaks today? Not today, sorry, Maple. Not today.
we'll try our hardest.
We'll try our hardest, of course. We've got the Dovetail Games cat in the background. Like we said, if there's a cat in the stream, there'll be the focus. Okay, Matt, if you want to switch over, let's get some gameplay going. Matt is also here. He wants to be a bit silent today. He's not feeling too hot and talking, so. But of course, throughout the route, so the iconic locomotive, the 103 in Deutsche Bundesbahn Trans-Europe Express livery. I believe, are we starting? We're starting in the 103, is that correct?
Yeah,
we're now.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So we're starting in Mainz, and we're gonna have a drive up the route, and then probably half, like St. Goa, somewhere there, we're gonna change to the 110 and drive the other half of the route from the other direction.
Yes, yeah, we were going to do a bit of a half and half, similar to what we did on the US preview streams. So we're going to do half of it in the 103, like Lucas says, and then we're going to give you a quick bit of a 10 in 10, show you some of the fantastic scenery across the route and a little bit of the rolling stock, as well as a bit of insight into the Niedertalbahn layering on this route as well. So we'll get into that a little bit shortly, but you can see how these two routes layer between themselves, which is quite fantastic, really.
Yeah, so Matt's currently showing off the loco. This is basically the first generation of 103s. Not the prototype, but the first generation. And those were quite cramped, so the drivers often complained that these things are way too small, the cabs.
It definitely looks tight trying to walk in between and trying to get to all the switches.
Yeah, it's not great. I've been in one myself, and I'm quite big. I hit my head 2 times. So yeah, so the technology is quite similar to the 110. You see, we have a wheel, and we have the similar cab layout, but it's much more powerful and can get up to 200 kilometers an hour. Not on this route. The max speed on this route is 160, but we're gonna see that in a bit.
I mean, speaking of power, I believe, reading from my interesting facts list, the 103 was the first high-speed locomotive to be developed in Germany, and it allows you to boost your power. Lucas, do you mind explaining that to someone that doesn't necessarily understand too much?
Yeah, that's so this loco was set up by Mike, so PSG Mike, and of course he likes putting in the little details. And this loco, for example, comes with a transformer switch where you can kind of boost the power output for a while, but don't do it too long, because doing it more than 2 minutes, I think, will blow it.
So you're the circuit breaker.
Yeah.
Sorry, which button was that to break it?
Matt's only here for chaos.
Yeah, and that's actually they trialed LZB with this loco. They used this first higher speed routes were with this loco, and it's first. It's gorgeous. Look at it.
I mean, it's a really iconic looking, like, front of the loco. That is fantastic. And I must admit, the wheel, I was a big fan of the 110. So I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy riding along the 103.
Yeah. I mean, the chat is right. There were other high-speed locos before, but this is the first one that everybody knows, like because of the express trains, especially T making quite the appearance in Germany. Yeah, and let's go.
And here we go. We're off. Spin the wheel, driving it like a car.
Well, you always turn right with this loco. Yeah, if you look back, Matt, onto the station, we see that this is the old Mainz. So right after this route is set in 1989, this was modernized, got another platform on the right there where the tracks are, and it's all a big steel glass monument now. I don't really like it. I prefer this old version. Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why we choose 1979, 1989, 98. Year numbers are complicated.
You can get much more like authentic, iconic scenery that way too.
Yes, and also the year that there was much. They cut down quite a bit of track, so especially the freight yard here and the surrounding area was changed quite considerably, and it's been hard for the dev team to get that right because getting the correct track plans and signal layouts from back then wasn't as easy.
How did you go about getting it? Did you have to look through older archives of track layouts and stuff?
Yeah, basically for this route, half of the stuff came from a guy who collects this. Yeah, we're grateful that the guy exists. And half was me going through archives of the library here that took over when the Bundesbahn basically got dissolved and Deutsche Bahn got founded. A lot of the old stuff got put into national archives, and you can actually access that.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, I know, Lucas, this is a route that you've worked really closely with. Is there anything that you personally particularly love the most about the route? What is it that makes this so special to you?
Not this section. The section when we start to approach Bingen later, when you come into the valley, the scenery changes because suddenly you have mountains left and right, or hills, and then you get really this nice cramped feeling with the buildings close by to the track. But we're gonna see that in a bit.
Look at that! Look at that fantastic red stripe across the whole. Right.
Yeah, so we had the modernized version of these wagons. Those don't work back then. We had to. Are we gonna look at the inside of the wagon later? Yeah, we are. These are called Produktfarben. So there was a small area where they had these. So the IC coaches here came in red, and Interregio came in blue. Currently, we don't have them. But that's a possibility.
Is there any reason why? Is there any reason why the red was chosen? Was it chosen to be just? Is it just a color they picked, or is there any significance behind the red and the blue?
Not that I know of. They just searched for. They tried to differentiate the different train times by color.
Oh, I see.
I don't actually know why they picked which ones. Maybe you think. So, what I like about this, and what I also loved about the 110 is the open frame heaters. So when you look down in the cab, you can actually see the heating elements.
It's definitely a very authentic looking cab. I think the way it looks, to me, I get more enjoyment from riding in a cab that has like a proper authenticity than maybe more of the modern stuff. It could just be my opinion, but I think it just feels much more interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's also a different feeling of driving. because these old locos, they did more direct translation of your inputs, and less electronics moving out your inputs to the engine.
Definitely.
So
Worth a look on the map.
Yeah, we can do that. So here, there's Mainz on the right. Quite a big yard. There off to Wiesbaden on the right side, and go here, Ingelheim, Algersheim, Bingen Hauptbahnhof, formerly known as Bingerbrück. And then we approach Rhine Valley. If you go back, I think we were approaching the station.
Which station is this we're approaching? Is
I always forget. Budenheim. I actually know a person from there. The person is gonna hate me for forgetting this station.
Budenheim station.
Budenheim. Yeah. For example, here on the left we have a third track in and a third platform. Nowadays that's out. So these are the kind of changes that come with history and need to be respected.
Well, that's what makes the route so unique, right? Is that it actually doesn't. You can't get it like this currently. It's been modernized.
Yeah, and there's more operational capability like this. And we use this, like our freight services. Most of them use the right Rhine, but some that use the left Rhine, we tried making use of the extra tracks.
I think someone asked for the pantograph cam and Matt's delivered. There we are. Zooming right in.
Yeah, so this is the fast part of the route. So from here to Bingen, you get up to 160. Slow down some corners. And then in the valley you go down to 90. So that actually gives the route some nice variation. So you can have a bit of fast pace action and then move down to a bit. This is Ulerborn, this is a small vault. But this is the same story as the last station. So if you look at the sidings here, a lot of those are gone. I think there's one track on each side left, but on the right side is left one.
And what's this we're passing now?
Oh, that's a freight train. Probably, yeah. It's one of the services where you have to stop on siding and let the faster trains, passenger trains, go by before you can continue. So that's pretty typical of the freight service here. The route has a lot of passenger trains, so if you're in a freight train, you're gonna have to stop quite frequently to let others pass.
Well, actually, while we're on the topic, what is the timetable like? One of the questions we had on our forum Q&A thread was, what's the timetable like? Is there traffic? Is there a lot of variety? How does the AI traffic get represented in this?
This has basically, so we had 1997, 1998 plan, and we tried, so all of the trains services that run on the actual route are in there. But we had to, of course, replace some stuff. So some service they actually lost 141s, and others they lost the 120 with the interregio wagons. We kind of substituted it all to 10 as far as possible. But that's in, so we actually have a pretty complete timetable.
Fantastic. Do you get the when you come up to the Rhine? Do you actually get that traffic on the other side of the bank as well?
Sadly, no. That's the problem here is also partly the limitations of TSW, because the Rhine is wide. You're not. They actually, on some points, you wouldn't even have seen them. So they would have spawned in and out and flickered in and out. So yeah. Sadly not. But
even without the locos being there, the scenery around the Rhine is absolutely fantastic. You've got the castles on top of the hills, you've got the mountainside, you've got the river, you've got houses right up to the riverbank. And then when you were telling me about it, that was the bit that you were saying you loved the most, when the housing gets so squished to the edge of the riverbank because there's basically there's not enough space.
Yeah, we have another, I think, like 5 minutes of driving ahead until we reach that area. I think there are 24 castles on this route, so we couldn't model them all, so we had to take a more generic approach. But the more important ones are custom models, and the other ones are tried best to represent them from parts.
Well, when we get to the 10 and 10 showcase, the one that's shown in that on top of the hill is absolutely huge. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, but back then, this was quite a mess, because basically if you were a trader and you wanted to go along, we're talking Middle Ages now, and you wanted to transport your goods down the Rhine, you had to pay taxes like at every castle, every few kilometers.
This is a proper history lesson. Back in the 1500s, back in the...
So that wasn't as great for people, but yeah, many castles there. So we're approaching Ingelheim. Similar story as the others. On platforms it's going now. We're in a timeline where most of the stations are like half there. So they already started ripping out stuff, but some stuff is still there. Come around the corner here.
Matt's getting his camera rig skills put to the test.
Oh wait, this is not Ingelheim. We already passed Ingelheim. Because this is Algesheim. I'm sorry, we already passed Ingelheim. So on the left here is where the lots of the Mittelautobahn 6 to 8 services end, because they continue straight on. So the route to the left, right on here, is diesel territory. So electric locos didn't go far. And we turn right here and now approach Rhine Valley. And if you, at the end of this curve, if you don't go into the cab, you're gonna start seeing the valley approach in the distance. This is one of the more fun parts.
And the scenery again, even just with the forestry, and it's just charming. It's lovely. I can't wait till we get to the vineyards as well, because when I was looking at them on the route, again, absolutely just beautiful.
This section here where we are now, it's not actually that well maintained in modern times. Like this, the whole foundation, the whole ballast have grown through, so there's grass everywhere.
Oh, wow. They
seem to have big problems here, so they probably need to replace the track there.
Does the track still run, even with all the...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, now we go back into the cab. And now we start to approach Bingen. That will bring us into the valley.
We've got a question in the chat asking, is the ICE on the track too? The ICE one does actually layer onto this track. The ICE one from Castle Würzburg. And of course, obviously the ICE one, we have a more modern version of it. But it did used to use this route back in the 1990s. And so we wanted the players to be able to use it, even if it's not 100% correct to the time period. It's still accessible to play on the route as you would be able to back then. And even if you don't want to play with it, you can always uninstall Castle Würzburg. So, there you go.
So this is also already a part of Bingen. But now we come into Bingenstadt, it's called now. Earlier it was just Bingen and then Bingerbrück. It's now Bingen Hauptbahnhof. It's a mess. They changed the names of the station. Nobody knows what's going on there. Yeah, from the left here there's also a diesel branch line coming in from the same direction we just looked at. And Bingenstadt was also a quite big freight hub. So if we come into it now, on the right side you're gonna notice that a lot of the tracks are still there, but they're not connected anymore. So you're gonna see the junctions, but the junctions are disconnected from the main line. So we're right in that period where they started to give up the track. Luckily we had some aerial footage of exactly this year to make this a little easier.
Okay, we're passing. Was that a 103 or a?
That was a 110. That was
110.
Yeah. Now here on the right, you're gonna start to see And of course here we have the signal boxes that everybody loves. They call them Reiterstellwerke in German, so basically signal boxes that go across the track. We have one here and at the next station. Quite iconic for the area. So this was Bingen Stadt, and now we come to Bingen Hauptbahnhof, which is formerly known as Binger Brück, and was a very, very big base of operations that has since all been brought back to housing and parks.
There's a lot of color in the building. It's not just the housing, but even the signal boxes as well. It's really fantastic.
Back then they used a bit more color, yes.
It just makes the whole route come to life, I think. It's wonderful.
Yeah, so here's the bridge, and then we come into Binger Brück. The station is quite lovely. On the left side there's also the track with the diesel branch coming in. And then here at the end of the station you have another signal box. If you look to the right, Matt, now onto the river, you see like one of these, there's one of these towers where they collect the taxes from ships.
Oh yes, yeah.
One of the scenarios actually goes into a little bit more detail of what happened there, I think.
And we're passing underneath one of the signal boxes as we go. Wonderful. It's just a charming charming route. It's lovely, especially with this kind of weather and I think the way that the sun hits the scenery. It's really wonderful. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Lucas.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna jump into another question we had on our forum Q&A thread, and it was, what length do the IC consists have? So they said 11 is standard, but it usually sometimes went up to 14 with higher demand.
Yeah, but I think we used mostly 11.
Yeah.
Just there's a technical thing behind it, but it's hard to go into it. Basically, the less different formations we use, the better it is for the game.
That's the technical producer side coming out. So yeah, the length of the consist will be 11. Just answer that question. Oh, and on another good note, actually, Lucas, you mentioned it before we started the stream, but we have actually had some good news on the German community manager that will be joining our team. So potentially we'll have even more people joining us on these live streams.
Yeah, and we're looking into that. Like, approach the Germans a bit more. Maybe talk a little German.
Well, at least it will be half botched German from myself and JD.
Yeah, now this is like the start of the rally. Next
Are those
stage.
barges in the river?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Quite heavy river traffic on this route.
Will we get to edit them in a livery design as we did with the one from Bremen Oldenburg?
No, sadly not.
No, sadly.
There was an idea, but would have been quite extensive on this route. So they had.
And then we go passing another 110.
And now we approach, I think it's Trechtlinghaus. Yeah. Trechtlingshausen. Yeah, sorry, yes?
Oh yeah. We had a question saying, can we get some snow later on? Sure we can. I know for all of us, and anyone that's watching from the UK, we've had some snow today. So we can certainly see if we can get some snow on this route and see what it looks like. It's Matt joining in just for his one-liners.
So, and this is basically where the typical scenery of this route starts. So if you come where the houses layer up onto the hill, and it gets more cramped and cramped the further we go down this valley. So, the next station is actually quite a nice example. I come there in a second. But also the stations are quite bunched together.
It's honestly just wonderful scenery. Actually, I've got a question from chat. On the river, the barges, are they static or are they moving?
No, we have some moving ones.
There we go. We have some moving river.
Some static. For example, here we have they're like loading ports where they stop. Did we pass that? Not sure. Yeah, and this is quite typical for most of the route. Yes, the road and the railway try to share the space that's there, so they're quite close together. Chasing this car here. Man, this car is fast. I think the max speed on this road should be 100. He's speeding.
Adrian, you've asked in the chat if we can. Oh, I've just mistyped anyway. Can we drive the 110? Yes, we will be driving the 110 shortly. Not the 100.3. The 110. We'll be driving that shortly.
Yeah, and here we come. I think it's Niederrheinbach station, which is one of these towns where people visit here just to see it. All these old buildings. Everything's quite cramped. Basically, the train line goes. The train line goes onto a nice embankment.
How does this change from the modern day, Lucas? Is there any major difference?
No, this section actually not. Like this section is quite. They kept this because obviously there wasn't much room to change anything. And I think a lot of these towns are actually under like cultural protection and stuff, so they cannot change much anyway.
That's wonderful. We got a question from chat. Why does the 103 have a skirt under the buffers? Apparently in the 1990s they no longer had those.
Yeah, getting the 103 right was really hard. There were a lot of different versions and a lot of them changed over time. So
Lucas is saying that your microphone is really quiet. If you can just talk a bit closer to your mic. I don't think I can boost your volume. Or I might be able to.
Okay. Wait.
No, I've got you fully boosted.
Okay. No, I'm trying to talk closer to my mic. It was quite hard because they have quite a lot of nuances and differences, and there's one type we kind of focused on, and apparently the one we chose didn't have a skirt. But back then a lot of them had the skirt, so that's just unlucky.
But the result we got still looks absolutely iconic in its own right. So what are we passing on the right here? We've got a.
Oh, that's a treatment plant, a little.
Oh, yeah.
Even small cities need treatment plants.
Right on the riverbank. I'm absolutely loving this dynamic camera work map.
It reminds me of the dynamic camera from.
Okay, you just see. Oh, we've got. Is that what's that in front of us on the hill? Is that a castle ruin?
Yeah, it's a castle. Yes.
One of 24.
I think we already passed like 3, but we didn't just look up.
Well, they're hard to spot. I suppose part of the challenge of going across the route is can you spot all 24 where you go down?
Yes. And here, this is one of the places where the train runs between the two, pretty close to the houses, right through it. This happens all along this section.
Actually, Matt, before we go too far, can we actually check out any of the castles? Is there any way we can fly the camera over just to look at them a little bit at a closer point?
I don't think we get that far because of the camera boundaries. We're gonna get a better look later in the 10 out of 10 now.
There's a little sneak peek of one of them there. But we'll see more of them as we go through the route. I mean, there's 24 of them, and we've only passed a handful so far. So stay tuned. Lucas, I did want to ask.
Yes.
There was a question: is there a working AFB?
No. At this point, they had shut down the AFB in the locos anyway. Because it wasn't. I can't remember. Mike told me it either wasn't safe to use or just didn't work properly. So we didn't put it in because it wasn't allowed to be used anyway.
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you want to keep the authenticity. Okay, it's crazy that we've got, I mean, this could just be me being a complete train newbie, but we've got the train tracks right next to a kind of dual road, next to a river. It just feels like it's, with boats on it. You've got 3 modes of transport within 15 meters of each other, supposedly.
A transportation planner's dream, yes. Enjoy.
The water looks really good. We've actually got a bit of a time lapse of the water coming up in the 10 and 10 shortly. So there's a lovely shot of the river, and you'll get to see the water flowing through it, and it's absolutely wonderful. Like I said, with this bank leading into the railroad and the roads here onto the Rhine, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, the next station, Oberwesel, leads right into a section where we actually like pass almost through a castle. It's one of the most iconic images of this route or scenes. Matt is doing his best here too.
If we're in the camera right now, then who's in the train?
Who's driving the train?
Oh no! Who's running away with us? This looks like. How does this route play then? Is it more of a scenic relaxation journey? Because I know when I was riding.
Actually, no.
No?
Because we do have quite a lot of speed changes, so you cannot be too relaxed. But it's not the hardest going up and down. There's still stuff to do. Like we have more speed changes than most of our German routes, I think, except for Dresden-Chemnitz, which was speed changes extreme.
Speed change heaven. We're passing another 103 just there. I noticed the front of the train there looked. It's easy to spot. It's iconic.
Yes. Try to stay in the cab here, Matt. We're gonna at the end of this straight.
Look at that scenery coming up on the left. It's absolutely. It's so authentic. It's just wonderful seeing this route in in the era that it is.
Yeah, and the art team actually had a lot of fun making this. It's been a change doing a historic German route. It's been quite a difficult change because a lot of the station assets needed redoing. Because we can't do modern Deutsche Bahn stuff.
Yeah, I mean a modern station wouldn't fit quite into the 90s aesthetic. But I mean, like, what difference does it have when you're approaching a route? Like, obviously you have to look into archives such as timetables, even designs as well. But are there any other differences when it comes to making more of a classic route rather than say a modern one?
Depends. Of course, we cannot look at the standard library of assets. So you at the start you're gonna have to consider what needs to be done and what not. And also, I mean, this was planned, right? There was a reason we did Bremen Oldenburg before this, because we wanted the 210 to be there so we can use it here. So you cannot just make an old route because it's gonna be empty and boring. So you'll have to slowly build up the stock library to fill it up. And that Niddertalbahn comes along right at this point is pure luck, but it also helps with the dynamics, so that the routes support each other.
We're passing a vineyard!
Yeah.
Sorry, thought I'd mention that as we go through. Absolutely wonderful. You could almost reach out the window, which you shouldn't, but you could almost reach out and pick up. Just grab something there.
So we come to the sections with the three tunnels. We're also down to 19 now, so one of the slowest parts of the route. And these are also quite iconic. Especially the third one, Bank Tunnel, I think it's called. The entrance also almost looks like a castle. Oh! Yeah, we fixed this.
Typical.
We don't have the update for this on the version we're playing.
Yeah, typical Steam. It told me I had the latest version. It was obviously lying.
We are on a dev build, everyone, so it's not completely final.
In release, this tunnel is dark. I've seen it dark today, so it's gonna be dark.
Yeah, we had Lucas playing many services today to pick the right ones for us. So we know that obviously
Yeah.
the lighting in that tunnel wasn't quite correct there, but that won't make it into the release version.
Here on the left, that's the world famous Lorelei in the Nibelungen Saga. It's an UNESCO World Heritage Site. If you want to look that up, I cannot just go and explain the story here. I think it's a bit gruesome.
Gruesome. There's some juice in the story. See, we've come away from the civilization area. Although there's a couple of houses that are just hidden behind the trees.
Yeah, and we're going back there. So actually, around this corner, so after the next tunnel, we're gonna stop this ride and change to the 110. The other half of the route, basically.
Well, before we do that, we're gonna jump into our 10 to 10.
Yes, sorry.
But yes, we're also going to show the 110, just so we give a bit of variety in what we showcase, and we can start the other end of the route and work our way north. Are we going south right now?
No, but we're currently going north. We're gonna go south.
But then we're gonna go to the north and we're gonna come down south. So again, for anyone watching, the lighting in a tunnel that doesn't make it into the release version of the game. We're currently on a dev build that didn't have that patch in. You want the 110 with snow. Matt, are we able to get some snow on the way north?
I'll let Lucas tell me what he wants to do.
We can do that. I mean, the route is a nice, lush summer route, so maybe we show it off.
Let's do a little bit of winter at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll save the snow for the end because we'll do some night lighting shots as well. So it's best if we keep that and show the route in its pure summer glory. I mean, just look at the way the lighting hits the trees on the side. It's absolutely beautiful.
Okay, let's change to 110 actually. But behind you was a castle.
Another castle.
On the other side of the river. There. No, there in the back. Right? It's quite far away now again.
Oh, I can just about make it out. Yeah, there's many castles to find across this whole route. It's good to see the British Ace. You've joined us. We are just switching from the 103 to the 110.
Do you want your video?
But actually, before we do that, actually no, we're gonna do our 10 and 10. I've jumped in front of myself. So it's time for the 10 and 10. Here we are. 10 features in 10 minutes. The N-Wagen coaches in mint livery.
And of course the
so
local also in Orient Red.
The thing that always strikes me as odd when I see it is that all of the pantograph and everything on the top is red as well. Well, of course, that's how they really are.
Even the interiors, they follow that mint color theme all the way through.
Yeah, the interior is quite similar, but didn't quite change. Also part of the plan. I'm just gonna show up the cab car, new livery.
I'm gonna try and not butcher this too right, but this is the Karlsruhe.
Karlsruhe Kopf.
Karlsruhe. Okay. Apologies. I'm doing my best. And this is in a Deutsche Bahn right.
The mint was the color of the 90s and late 80s. I love it. It's a nice new thing after seeing Perfect Red for 5 years.
Just look at that shot with the light hitting the bank right on the Rhine. Beautiful. I know when Vic recorded this footage, I was like, we have to use this. This is the money shot.
Yeah, and here are the backdated IC coaches. So these are the with the 101 we had IC coaches, but those were the AVMMZs and EVMMZs, which are basically modernized versions. So these have a complete new interior and exterior. They may seem similar, but they're actually quite different.
Getting very bubblegum kind of color vibes from the interior of this coach.
Yeah, some of these.
It's pink.
I won't agree with some of these color choices, but
Awesome.
that's how it was back then. Yeah, the 6 to 8 that we're gonna see in a second is also like they just put it in a paint bucket and like this, and this.
And this is the Siemens U708 and the Tadgis 959 wagons, the freight wagons.
Yeah, so we packed in the freight wagons that were era appropriate. And, oh, here we can answer a question, I guess. So why did we use the 110 for freight? Well, the main answer is gonna be because we didn't really have an alternative, but they also did run freight, so it's not completely off. Of course, we would rather have a 114. Didn't. Possibility to make it work.
Yeah, it was the best. It was the best fitting logo for freight because it does do freight.
Some people have commented that why not the 155. Mainly because the 155 that we did to the ones back then were quite different and also would have needed a lot of changes.
Just look at the stations on the route. This lighting again. This is all in-game capturable. It's wonderful. Proper 1997 era stations, housing, castles. 24 of them across the route. I'm jumping ahead. There's another shot of the castles.
There's one on top of the hill there.
Oh yes, you can just see it.
The footbridge is epic.
This is definitely a route that you can look at and immediately know that, oh yeah, I know where I am. This is iconic.
Yeah, Rennes is quite nice. You can actually walk down there and like to the waterfront and look at the water.
Just
Yeah,
look at
yeah.
the scenery. Yes, there are 22 stations across the route. There was a question in chat.
Also, one question that came up a lot were people like, you know, why are there no like white markings on the platform and where are all the warning signs? And the truth is they didn't take that as seriously back then. They just didn't have that.
The health standards were a bit different.
Yes.
It's interesting though. I suppose when you do an older route, an older aesthetic, then there will be a lot of questions of where's this? Well, it's simply just that back in these days, it just didn't have it. Those things were more modern.
That's a two-edged sword for us developers because once, like, it can make it easier because it's harder for people to be like, oh, but this is like this because there are not as many photos from back there, and we have a little bit more creative freedom. But also, if we don't find the correct reference after we release the route, someone finds the correct reference. It's like, oh shit.
Just look at that vineyard. Oof, those look good. That's exactly right. The scenery is beautiful. It really is one of the absolute key things about this route. A question here. Will the 110 be included or do you have to buy the Bremen route? Well, I think I can tell you that for free. The 110 should come with this route.
Yes.
Yeah.
Different version, but it is
Yes,
coming.
you do not need to own Bremen to get the 110 on this route.
Yes, key to remember this is the Orient Red 110 with the mint green coaches, whereas Bremen has got the DB Red loco and coaches, so they are different.
Here are the castles that we've been trying to capture along the route but keep missing. So, for anyone curious, there are 24 castles across this route, which is just wonderful. And are they all mostly hilltop castles or some of them lower down?
Mostly hilltop castles, yes. It was better to defend back then.
I suppose, yeah, you'd rather defend on the hill than below it. Is there many other routes that have castles? Is this quite a unique thing just for Linke Rheinstrecke?
No, I'm pretty sure we had Kassel, for example, had a castle, but one castle.
But one castle, not
Um,
24.
Yeah. No, this is quite iconic, and people visit that area just to look at all the castles. It's pretty famous. Koblenz.
And here are the signal boxes that we've been traveling underneath and admiring. There's quite a range of, as I've mentioned previously, there's the color and the paint that used on the buildings and the scenery. It's just wonderful. Even with the signal boxes, I believe we're coming up to a bright orange signal box as well.
Yeah, definitely 90s colors or 80s.
There it is. Absolutely wonderful. Someone's asked in the chat that what are the collectibles? Well, they will be cuckoo clocks. So if you are cuckoo about finding the clocks, there you go. You can get crazy and try and find them all.
Yeah, but be aware, after you collected them, they will cuckoo at you every 15 minutes, I think.
Be aware. Warning, picking up the cuckoo clocks. Here we are, the
Sneak peek.
Niedertalbahn layout.
Yeah.
So it's
Oh,
worth
sorry.
mentioning. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah. It's worth mentioning that Niedertalbahn. There's no release date for this yet, but when it does come, it will have 49 services and layer onto Linke Rheinstrecke, as well as I believe there's layering from Linke Rheinstrecke to Niedertalbahn as well. They complement each other. Is that right, Lucas?
Yes, but the other way around is only AI, because Niedertalbahn is a diesel line, but you have two areas where they run, so you can see them. But yes, but you get drivable services here. Not that few.
Fantastic. Well done, DGG. You have excelled with this route. Well, part thanks to Lucas. I mean, you've put a lot of love into this route and research, and the whole team as well.
Oh, the team has been wonderful. So they really got to it, and put their heart into it, and that you can feel that it's a really nice route.
I think you can see it just in the way everything just works together. The end result is just beautiful. But for everyone with us now, we are switching to a new service. We are going to be riding the 110. Where are we starting, Lucas?
We're in Koblenz now, so Matt, you can actually walk around, show the underpass, if you want to. Because
I believe we got a few minutes.
We got a few seconds, yeah, because the train ride goes ahead of us, so we got a bit of time. I think you need to go into the other direction.
You know, the one thing I've always found interesting, whenever playing the game, is that you just get out of the train, just immediately just run straight across the tracks. It's just it's disregard for health and safety completely.
Yeah, this is like the typical underpass. They started modernizing all of these, sadly. So now often it's concrete hell. Back then it was nice tiles and brickwork.
Well, it's such a shame, because doesn't this just look beautiful with the tiles, like you're mentioning,
Yeah.
and the it's just modernizing that to just be concrete is just. Oh wow, Matt! I think you just leveled up 27 times. Fantastic. Well, there you go. Level 27 by just doing a bit of a jog.
I wish that was that easy in reality.
Okay, so Lucas, we got another steering wheel on this loco. What are the
Yeah.
main, for someone like me, train newbie here? What is the main difference between the 103 and the 110? What's the key differences?
Ooh, key differences. It's the same type of motor, so it's a tap changer. So you dial up the motor and dial it back down. That's where I struggle in English for these Germany for the motor stuff. But it's a similar type of motor, but of course this one is a little, or much weaker, not just a little weaker, and it comes with a lot less. How do you say that? The loco is less heavy, so it has less grip. the
Friction? Is it?
friction. Yes,
There we
it's
go.
got less friction, and it's just an overall. But like the underlying design is very similar. They did big then. That's why they called them Einheitslogos. Einheit is basically unity. Because they had a lot of parts that were interchangeable between the different types of logos.
Oh, that's very interesting. Like the actual in manufacturing them, they
Yes.
manufactured them in a way that they could actually share the parts.
Yes, that was the goal.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, we're on a real history lesson throughout this whole stream. We've learned about 1500s and taxing and castles. But no, that is actually that's very interesting.
Yeah, and Koblenz, if you go out and zoom out a bit, it also has a castle on the side. So if you look behind yourself,
Oh,
to the left,
a little to the left.
to the left, to the left, to the left.
Yeah, oh, and suddenly there's a castle jumping out right at us. That's very iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just standing on the train platform. So is that the same as it would be today? Can you stand on the
Yes.
platform and see a castle right outside?
Yeah, Koblenz is still pretty, but there's also this really ugly motorway in a way. That's also there in reality, sadly.
Ah,
And if you, we also included the Koblenz Mosel Freight Yard. So if you go onto the map, you'll see it there. So this is where freight will start and end. Not all of the freight, but a lot of the freight.
we got a question from chat saying, does the BR101 run on this route? No, the BR101 is not included in this pack.
We debated about using it, but it was very new, and also the wagons just wouldn't have quite fit. So we didn't. We opted to not do that, but who knows? What happens?
I had another question for you. Oh, you mentioned the cuckoo clocks as collectibles. Are there maps and posters still?
Yes, we also have maps, posters, and oh god, what's it?
There are 4 collectibles, Nigel.
I can tell you in a second what the other one is. Oh, first aid kits. Yeah.
First aid kits. So,
maybe-
sorry, Lucas.
We want to stay healthy as always. This is what
Yeah, we want to stay healthy. Yeah, the first aid kits are to heal you after you go too crazy from the cuckoo clock. So, first aid kits, cuckoo clocks, maps, and posters you can collect across this route.
Exactly. And here, off to the right, is where the route leaves. That goes over the bridge and onto the right Rhine. But I'm going ahead. I'm gonna go under the bridge. This is the crossover.
Do we have a mastery reward for this route?
Yes. Our mastery is inspired by Rhine Flammen, which is like a festival where they do fireworks and light up the castles. So on a
That sounds amazing.
on a part of the route, you get colorful lit up castles and fireworks. I think it's all around Oberwesel and St. Goar, so the areas where they do it in reality too.
So to answer your question, Airborne GR, there is a fireworks and lights and castles all together as a master reward. It sounds absolutely stunning. I need to see a photo of this.
I don't think we can show it off because we cannot cannot unlock it now.
Nigel says, thank you, Alex and Lucas. And don't forget to thank our silent driver, Matt. We are laid back and all the hard work is being done by Matt Pedalston.
I'm
Thank
just sitting
you.
here playing the game. It's awesome.
yeah, you're having a very enjoyable night.
This is a really fun route to drive. It says, as Lucas was saying earlier on about the speed changes, you've noted, the eagle-eyed or anyone who's basically staring in the direction of their screens would have noticed that I fluffed a few of the speed changes. You do have to watch what you're doing because, but that's what makes it interesting.
Well, we wanted to make it more gamified, so we made the most relaxing, beautiful route imaginable, so that you slowly drift away while focusing on the route, and then introduce speed changes. So it's a balance. You gotta keep your eye on the ball, but also enjoy the route. Yeah, another oops. We got a question about the PIS. So, there isn't any PIS across the route. We haven't been able to complete this to a level that we're happy with. From seeing the feedback in Northeast Corridor New York to Trenton about using the inaccurate PIS, we just decided that it would be better if we just didn't include it. So if you're wondering where the PIS is, there is none across the route.
Yeah, and to explain it a little further, this back then we had no LED or LCD PS, so they had these mechanical flatboards, Halbplatzanzeigen, it's called in German. And those are actually not that easy to make, at least it turned out. So we'll see if we can invest some engineering time into that.
But there are no plans at the moment.
Yeah, at the moment it's no promises.
We'll let you know if anything changes with the PIS on this route, but for now there won't be any PIS.
I would like to see them in the future, but not as easy.
I've got another question. Will the 363 be layered on the route?
No. Currently, no shunting operations.
No shunting. Only river driving and scenery. Look at the vineyards.
You couldn't handle the shunting if you look at the stuff at the same time. It doesn't really work.
I've got a question about the achievements as well. So if you wanted to know, there are 3 achievements for the route. One of them is for completing the BR103 tutorial. One of them is for distance driven on the 110. And one of them is for going crazy and collecting all the cuckoo clocks, and that's just named Cuckoo. So good luck finding the clocks. I want to find one of these clocks, but I'll do it in my own time.
Yeah, our Rhine station we're coming to now is actually done by one of the main artists. So Matt, if you want to get out and have a look, it's got a very nice underpass because it's pretty special compared to other stuff, not a standard thing. So we really tried catching the feel of this era, and part of that was making sure that it felt like an old route, and these weird ways of getting from one platform to another belong to that. Look at this.
Can we have a quick look at the service list and scenarios at the end of the stream? I'm sure we can just have a quick flick through the service list at the end, but if you want to know numbers, where is it on my magic document? I believe there is 111 services for the 103, and the 110 has 100 playable services. And then the cab car, the 463 cab car has 39 playable services. The IC one, if you're curious, will have 2 services. So that's all the service lists. I shied away from the Kalsvikov because I didn't want to pronounce it wrong again, but there you go. So which station is this? Is this Rennes station we're coming to?
Yes, this is Rennes. We're gonna have a look.
This is pretty cool. A moment back in time captured beautifully. Well, it really is. This is fantastic, right? It's being able to basically save a piece of history. As best it would be.
Definitely. That's also one of the more fun things about building this stuff, because you get to look at the old pictures and you're like, oh, it was all better back then. You get to recreate it, and it's fun. It's actually really fun. I know that lots of people like modern stuff. I myself prefer the old stuff, but a mix is always good, so don't worry, we'll get modern stuff. Yeah, you can walk out here, around here.
Passengers watching their driver just immediately get out of the cab car and sprint away.
Yeah, I'm done, it's home time.
Well, this is lovely.
Yeah, so this is a little bit different. The leaves blowing in the wind.
I'm disappointed. I want to go for a swim.
This isn't swim simulator. It's train simulator. Stay on a train.
It's not swim sim world yet. Maybe next year.
I mean, just
Yeah.
looking at one of 25 posters per place. Well, there you go. There's a spoiler for one of them. I really think there's a lot of hilliness, I suppose, as we're on the side of the Rhine and on the banks as well. But there's a lot of like height changes when it comes to the different housing and the way the stations are designed as well. It's quite wonderful.
Yeah, you need to make good use of the space that you have, basically. Okay, let's carry on.
Prison World swim train. Yeah, I suppose we'll get to trademarking that.
I have thought about doing a scenario that involves flooding. We didn't have-
Flooding.
It's
Oh,
tech-
does that mean like do you mean across the tracks?
Yes. But
What would you have to do in that case?
carefully swim your loco to the other side.
Oh, we got a question actually. I'll give this one to you, Lucas. What is your favorite scenario on the route?
Oh, I guess I'm gonna go with the one that explains the castles a little bit. So we have one scenario that kind of mimics a tourist train, where you go along the route and get explained. The scenario kind of explains to you the history of some certain bits. It's not the most exciting, but it's the most interesting, I would say. I do like scenarios which are a little bit different and not just the standard do this, do that. I'd go with that. And yeah, now we're coming to Spy. And then after that we're gonna approach Boppard, which is the last bigger station that we haven't looked at yet.
So we've managed to cover on our journey through with the 103 earlier tonight. We've covered every station. Is that correct?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
We still have quite a bit to go. I think we have got
But we will do the end of this.
yeah, we'll have covered everything at the end of this. So this is a part where there's less river and more space, but around the next corner we're gonna come back to the views we love, because the river gets cramped again. So Spy. I think I once did I cycled up this route, so the river, and this is the town where I stopped for the night.
Cycling this must have been crazy with all the hills.
It's okay. Like, if you go along the river, the cycling path along the river is okay. It follows the road, basically.
Does playing this route remind you of that time? Can you see that part of your experience, that memory in the way the route's been built?
Yeah, of course. Like when you, especially the parts where there's like the train tracks and the road close together. That's something you will remember, because you cycle along there and the train blasts by pretty close. That's one right next to it. And this, I don't have a good memory of the hotel here. It was pretty bad.
Well, thankfully it's not Hotel Sim World, so okay.
I can't recommend Spy. Anybody that lives there, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, at least the station's lovely enough. Well, more like the stop we're at.
Yeah. Especially these smaller stations have been hard to make. People generally photograph the bigger stations and not smaller ones. So getting the reference isn't always as easy. It's been fun. A lot of Sherlock Holmes work going on.
I think I've gone through my list of questions I have from the forms that I have noted down. Is there any more questions in the chat that we want to go through? Let me take a little dive. If you've got a question you've been itching to ask, now's the time. We will be able to show the scenario planner. I'm sure we can we can do a quick little hop through the menus as we want to show the scenarios and the timetables services quickly at the end. We're also going to get to a bit of nighttime just to show you what that looks like as well, and touch on the snow. But obviously we're giving the route its summertime showcase. How big is the file size of the routes? Do we have that on hand? I don't have that on the documents. Matt, did you install it earlier today?
Which one, sorry?
What was the file size of Linke Rheinstrecke?
I didn't see that. I was moving other files around that were not Linke Rheinstrecke, so I didn't look at that one. I think on Xbox Series X, when I was looking at it last, it was in the order of 6.5 gig.
Okay, it looks like consoles are roughly 6.5 gigabytes.
I'm currently looking at the PC version, but of course that's...
You're probably on the dev build, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, the PC version comes with 14 gigs.
Dev build
But
well.
that's the dev build. That's often a lot bigger.
I wonder if I'll check the store page. If it's not on the store page, as I check it now, because 10% off pre-order on Steam. But let me check the store page, and if it isn't there, then it will be in our launch article when it releases.
Yes.
On the 16th of March. So just 1 week away. Matt looks like an end bargain.
Yeah, I saw that and was like...
That's just a surprising question. Will the ICE be available in service mode for this route? I believe
Well, yes, the two services that are in
yes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, there are two services for the ICE across the route. Can you please run a service with the 628? We will be doing that. We won't be showing that with the we won't be showing the Niedertalbahn layering tonight. But when we are ready to showcase Niedertalbahn, I'm sure on the preview stream for that we can actually come back to Linke Rheinstrecke and show it on this route as well.
And it's not that far off. Don't have to wait that long.
It's coming soon, but no release date yet. Will this route bundle with the Niedertalbahn? I don't believe we're doing a dual bundle with this route in Niedertalbahn. I think there'll be separate releases.
Yeah, because one is a third-party release and one is a third release.
Oh, of course, yes. So no, they will be separate, individual. I love this route. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, here especially this one is in reality it's known for the
Just finally look at that. It's just amazing.
I went to them back for the finally got them.
Officially off my back.
Someone's asking, the 103, I don't know, Lucas, do you know if the 103 in a livery designer, does it have the plaque on the nose?
Let me answer that in 20 seconds.
We are currently finding out.
Yeah, and now we're approaching Poppard, which also has a spur to the basically the end point of the Hunsrückbahn, which is a really steep railway. It's like 5% and more. But we'll see that if you approach Poppard Hauptbahnhof, Matt. If you look back, you'll see spur going off. Not here, no. You'll see the junctions.
You're doing a good job showing the scenery. We're seeing a lot of comments praising the scenery, and I think it's one of the best things about this route. If you didn't manage to see our 10 and 10 earlier in the stream, I advise just wind back and you can check out some of the call-outs we do on the scenery, such as the castles, the Rhine, the signal boxes as well, the stations. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it's a wonderful route, and I think it's best shown in the lovely light of summer.
And
the
here,
mint.
to the right behind you, you can already see how steep the track goes up there. It's pretty steep railway. Okay,
Darn you.
Oh! You
Go
forget
outside, he
Caesar.
said. It'll be fine, he said.
Will the route be available in 2 weeks? You didn't mention the release date. The release date is March 16th, so 1 week. You can pre-order it on Steam currently for a 10% discount if you are interested. Yes, the 16th of March. It's 1 week away. So if you like what you see, then it's not far from your grasp.
Red Leader got it. He knows that I'm just demonstrating to everyone the safety system functionality and how it works with the emergency brake system. You're welcome, everybody,
So
for
yes,
that demo.
the delivery has the plaque. Delivery editor has the plaque in front, so you can. But it's part of the delivery editor, so you can paint in what you want.
Wait, sorry, repeat that, Lucas. Did it have the plaque?
It has the plaque, yes, but it's not textured, so you can paint in what you want.
So the plaque is fully customizable, paintable to your heart's desire. Can you use the wiper, please? Can we get a bit of wiping action? There we go. There you are, PD Bunter.
Yeah, again, totally different style of station, so different canopies. That's the thing back then. Nothing was. There was some stuff that, of course, was standardized, but a lot of, especially like station canopies and buildings and stuff, are all different. That of course makes it harder. Like if you do a modern S-Bahn route, everything looks the same, so you can reuse assets. Doesn't really work here.
Just look at that, just behind us we've got a castle spire poking out.
Yeah, I think this was just part of the city walls. Some parts are left.
I think the castles are a brilliant way that they're really honing the fact that this is a classic, older, non-modern time route.
Yeah. And now we I think we have 3 more stops until we've seen it all. Let's see.
Can we see some gameplay with snow later? Yes, we will try and get a little clip of the snow at the end. We've only got a few more stops before we have covered every station. We did the first half on the 103, and we're doing the second half now on the 110. So we'll try and get a little bit of snow in. We'll try and get a little bit of nighttime lighting in.
People saw that hectometer board. I'm not sure what was like. I'll have a look.
Mick, no, the wheel doesn't do
can you-
brakes. All the brakes are handled by the levers over here on the right hand side. 3 levers for your direct, your train, and your dynamic.
David Ham, I'm glad this has exceeded your expectations. We've got a call for the horn. Have we shown a horn yet, Matt?
Numerous times, but I will do some more.
Let's do another horn.
Don't forget the FIFA. Yeah, so Boppard is quite drawn out because of the limited space. Some of these towns, 7 to 8 kilometers long. So you're going to see another 2 stations that are named Boppard, but which are quite far. we like.
Again, you get this. It's just this wonderful, the wonderful lighting that hits the side of the bank with it. It's such a harsh angle on just on the right side. Surprising that if this is again, if this like in real life, is there any worry that trees being that close, you know, is there ever any like wind with them blowing over onto the tracks? Because they're obviously
Oh,
right
of course.
banking on.
There's like well, in earlier times they just went along and sprayed like pesticides on it. But they don't do that anymore because it's forbidden now. So they try to cut them back as much as possible, but they only allowed to do it in a certain radius. So now and then a tree blows into the track, and then it's to wait.
But when the trees aren't falling into the track, you get this fantastic view. And that makes it all worth it. Let's do a little castle check. Is there any, Lucas, is there any castles near us? Anything we can spot in the distance?
I can see one on the left there.
We're just on the left hill, Matt. Can you get a little view of that as we drive past? Fantastic. So not all of them will be up close. Some of them will be just peeking over the hills.
Yeah. And yeah, this is another one of these old stations, which are not as big. They have their own feel to it.
Got a question for you, Lucas. Are there neutral zones?
No. And when I remember correctly, this route doesn't actually have them in reality.
So I don't think there are any neutral zones, but then that's just because this route wouldn't normally have them anyway. Mick, thank you for the question. If there are any more questions, feel free to ask away.
And yeah, one very helpful thing with this route was that we again made use of the LiDAR terrain data, so 1 meter accuracy terrain, and this really makes it easier to build this kind of route because all the sculpting of the valley side, the mountains, etc., it's gone. It's already there, so you just have to paint above it to make it look a little better. But there's no sculpting going on because the data is just that good, and that makes the route, especially these valley routes, makes them feel very natural. Because just so as a comparison, before we started using LiDAR data, we had a 30-meter accuracy in the imported terrain that we got, and then had to hand sculpt the rest out of it. So of course there's a huge difference if it's 1 meter. Yeah.
So that's actually very incredible. 1 meter accurate satellite data. That obviously, because this route has many mountains and hillsides, it's extremely accurate to life, to the meter.
Yeah, and it's quite a lot of data. Unreal is quite smart in like saving it. So they compress it in a very smart way. But when we get the data from the States or from the country delivered, for a route like this, it's roughly 180 gigabytes just in terrain data.
180 gigabytes?
Yeah, and that will then have to be formatted, compressed down, put into the right tiling, and then imported into our routes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm glad the route download isn't that big.
yeah, like I said, the actual UE4 terrain system is quite smart and can save it very efficiently.
Yeah, the scenery accurate to a meter. So this you couldn't be more authentic.
Yeah, and we try to use this where possible now. It's not available everywhere, but the next routes all have it. Yeah. So trying to use it as much as possible.
It's well worth it. One of the things that you found when you're making the route, we started using LiDAR, is that it's accurate enough that you can see the track bed and you can see the road bed, can't you?
Yeah. So it's just, in that case, it's just a case of laying track and road on top of the terrain, and that gives us a lot of peace of mind because, especially for Germany, there's barely any data available on like route, on like track charts. You can get a little bit of info, but not a lot. So you can then just lay the track onto the terrain, and you know it's the right height.
Yeah, it makes a big
because
difference. If anyone's ever done any
50 high-
rebuilding using the 30-meter stuff, you'll know how different that experience is.
Yeah, and you can also see building foundations, and so you can just often plop the buildings onto their foundation, put around, and it's just more natural. Like, no matter how good the person is that rebuilds, they're not going to be able to create or sculpt it the way it would be naturally.
Yeah, it helps us create more accurate routes. I mean, it sounds like you can. It's a really impressive tool that would just aid us in helping make the most realistic to life, it's like environments and scenery that we can.
It also brings challenges, but often it's very helpful. Yeah, took a while for the art team to adjust to the new work style surrounding that. Yeah, saves them time, makes the route look better. Everybody likes it.
We've got a question for you, Lucas. How long is a service on this route?
That depends. I think the longest service is 1.5 hours. So basically, an RV that just stops everywhere, while you can get through it in like 50 minutes with an IC train. So
Between 50 minutes and an hour and a half.
yeah, there are some shorter ones. Like there are some services which end in the middle of the route, for example. So you can have shorter sessions. But if you drive the whole route, it's between 50 minutes and 1.5 hours.
Perfect.
Minutes, not meters. Jeez.
It's about 50 meters long.
I'm sorry, guys. This is my third stream, also. I get nervous.
I've got a question. Is the cat still there?
I can.
My camera's not on.
The camera's not on. I can vouch. It's still there.
Well, it's so scenic, so authentic and relaxing that he's fallen asleep. Nothing to do with the fact that he would fall asleep anyway. So, but enough about the cat. The cat will be here anytime. This is about the preview.
That's what you get for bringing the cat.
I tried to stop the cat. Is the BR 103? Is it drivable on any other routes?
No. Because all the other routes are quite a lot more modern, so it wouldn't really fit.
Well, that makes sense.
But we're thinking about putting in like rail tours. We're thinking about it. We'll see. No promises.
No promises. If it isn't on the roadmap, it isn't happening. You know the drill. Well, until you know. Can you walk up that footbridge? I don't know, Matt.
No, there's another half decently iconic underpass behind you, because if you would change tracks via the road, the footbridge, you would actually have to walk quite a way. No, behind you.
It's trying to direct Matt.
There's the underpass, and you can actually get down there and then to the right, and have a nice look at water.
Fantastic. This is actually a really good question for you, Lucas. So, there's no other questions haven't been good, but this is an interesting one because it applies very heavily to me as well. So, are the locos easy to drive for a more casual game? Someone that isn't an expert.
Oh, that's a good question.
Something funny's just happened on the audio.
Yeah, I think we're having an audio issue.
You just shut down now. Always make sure everything starts. I'm just trying to pause the games because otherwise craziness will happen. Actually, try talking.
I can still hear it,
Okay, right.
and I can hear myself.
The new dialects of Dublin. Try speaking.
Hello?
Yeah, much better.
Way, we're much better. Alright, let's get back on with it again.
Okay, can everyone hear us? Are we all okay? Thumbs up in the chat. Fixed. Brilliant. My ears, my precious ears. Well, it's okay. Feast your eyes on the routes. You don't need ears. Well, apart from the hearing part. But no, this route's fantastic. Where were we up to? My mind has blanked after the audio.
We just left the last town of Boppard. It's enough. And we're now doing the last stretch to St. Goa, which we haven't seen yet. So after that, we saw the whole route, basically.
Fantastic. Oh, I've got a question. Matt, can we get the FPS counter on for this last little section? Just, there we go.
Oh, and
this is quite a powerful machine. It's frame rate. I've frame rate limited it to 60 FPS, so it's not really going to tell you much, I don't think.
Let me actually answer the question before we drop down, because people are going to think we ignored that question. So yes, the locos are not as easy to drive as like the really modern ones, but it's also not that hard.
The key thing with both of them to remember is, if you apply the power too much too quick, you'll blow them, and they'll need to cut the power back to 0, re-close the master circuit breaker, and then reapply power again.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye on that left dial and keep it under about 60, and you're going to have a problem.
I mean, speaking from experience as well, I think would you say it's similar for the 110 with the 110 on Bremen-Oldenburg?
Yeah, if you learn to drive the 110, then this is very similar.
That was one of my first times jumping into a German loco for one, but even just some of the first locos I've played in the game, and I mean, I had a blast spinning a wheel, but it wasn't too difficult to pick up. So I'd say it's relatively easy, but yeah, be warned that you can overdo it. But of course, if you ever want any support for that, we have the fantastic training center that will help you learn about the locos. And if you still want more support, you can always check out our forums, because our players and our Discord community are extremely helpful and are always willing to lend advice on how to drive the locos. So how are you doing there in the UK, Matt and Alex? I suppose we're doing fine.
Cold.
How are you doing, Matt? Oh my God. Matt is cold. And how are you doing, Lucas?
How does it feel leaving the EU?
We had snow. Enough said.
yeah, it was snowing today, and for anyone curious about snow, we're gonna show some snow on Linke Rheinstrecke very soon.
Yeah, I'm quite happy that we didn't have snow here. Actually, near me they had a bit of snow. It was very surprising for this time of year.
Oh, this is a fantastic question. I think Matt, this might be a question more for you. It's not a stupid question, Train Boy, but can you use a steering wheel controller on this train as an input?
No.
Matt, I know you've been doing some looking into controllers.
I mean, I did on TS Classic. I wrote my own interface to allow hardware, and I got steering wheels working and all sorts of things, foot pedals and every controller under the sun working, but not for TSW, I'm afraid. So maybe at some point, I know that there is work going on without a release date at the moment for a hardware interface, but for the time being, the answer is no, I'm afraid. How cool would that be?
That would be very cool. What is the night lighting? The night lighting in the country area? Well, I'm hoping we will be able to show the night lighting off briefly as we finish this second service. Just a little sneak peek at the night lighting, a little sneak peek at the snow, and a little browse through the timetable and the services available. How does that sound?
Sounds good. Lucas, while I do a bit of snow in a minute, can you go and find a good example for night lighting?
Yeah, sure.
I'm thinking just spawn on foot at a station will do. Oh, look at that castle on the hillside there.
Oh, that is fantastic. Just look at the left window. You've got a nice little perfect lineup.
It's like I planned it. Like.
That comes to 103 to end it.
And there it is, the 103 that we showcased earlier. If you are tuning in on the later half of the stream, then you can always rewind and go watch our gameplay of the 103 we did earlier tonight.
Stuck.
Thank you. Your camera's behind the wall.
I know.
It's fantastic. I mean, we say there's 24 castles on the route, but when you actually add 24 up, there's pretty much one everywhere at any point on the journey. There'll be a castle somewhere you can look at. I think that's pretty fantastic. Unless you're in a tunnel. But for the most part, you can always be.
Some of the tunnels look like castles, so.
There you go.
Yeah, here's the route map. Okay.
Died.
First aid kit restocked. So just to say it again for anyone joining later, collectibles wise, first aid kits, 25 of them, route maps, 25 of them, cuckoo clocks, which is a new one for this route, and route maps. Again.
Can we find a cuckoo clock?
I'm looking to see if there's one here.
And posters. Sorry.
Doesn't look
This
like it.
station might have.
Once again, denied. Right, anyway, let me load up a bit of snow.
So yes, we're going to showcase a little bit of snow, and then we're going to showcase some of the nighttime lighting, and that for the most part covers Linke Rheinstrecke, Mainz to Koblenz. If you have any questions you want to throw our way, now is your time. We've answered many throughout the stream, so don't worry if your question doesn't get answered, because we can always catch you on the forums as well.
If you're wanting snow, just a little tip, the temperature in the top right corner. If it is above 0, you will get rain, not snow. If it is below 0, you will get snow and not rain. That's why it's called precipitation and not rain or snow, because it's based on the temperature. So you choose your date. As you look through the date, you'll see the temperature changes is following national average curves. So that's that. And again, if you just change the day in there, you'll see the temperature changing gradually as well. So you can pick a day, get a temperature that you want. We'll go for a snowstorm. Actually, let's not go for a snowstorm. Let's just go for a custom weather.
We're going to steal this joke, but it's a snow joke that you can change the
joke. Because is that Chris? Chris Rogers.
It's Moggy.
It's Moggy. Okay, it's just as bad. It's just as bad.
This is an awesome route. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's 24 stations and 24 castles. Well, 24 is a lucky number. Oh, I do have a question though, Lucas. Are there walkable areas outside of the railway? Well, I believe we went under an underpass.
There's some little areas, yes, but that's for people to find out.
So a couple, but you'll have to discover them.
Where do you think I should go for this? Where's a nice scenic area?
For the nighttime.
No, for snow.
But snow. Anywhere, I guess. It's hard to say. Either Rheinbach is nice. No, go Bacharach. Bacharach is nice.
Okay. I immediately go underground.
Where's the snow? And there it is. Oh, that is fantastic. I mean, it works.
That's a postcard right there, isn't it?
Wonderful.
That's a postcard right there.
This route, it doesn't matter if it's summer, spring, autumn, or winter. You can just get the perfect shots for anything. It's fantastic scenery.
Wet platforms as well. And snow when we're out here.
I think from seeing this, I'm not even sure which one I like more now. The summer, I think, really complements the scenery with the hills on the side next to you as you ride past. But the snow just covering everything, it just looks wonderful. Really makes the buildings stand out more.
I dislike snow on principle more than anything else.
This is the reason why Matt has been silenced. The snow in the UK.
As if I talk, I'm just going to talk
him.
moaning about snow and cold. Well, look what I found.
Oh,
It's a cuckoo clock. We got to show them off. One of 25. And it's actually it's actually beautifully animated.
Very nice.
Turn it off, it's making me turn the heating up. Do we have a nighttime service we want to show?
Yes. Well, we're gonna spawn on foot and just have a look.
Perfect.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the. Nice.
Dangling in the wind.
Dangling in the wind. Oh no. Right, what am I doing?
Finally, a cuckoo clock in the game sold. Glad you love it.
Where would you like me to be?
I go to Bingen Hauptbahnhof. So. No, one more. Yeah, 2 a.m.
2 a.m.
and just set it to like June or something. That's fine. Just and you can like there's a footbridge you can walk up to, look around. Quite nice.
No one saw me do that.
£1,000 fine. So here is the night lighting, and I think it's very interesting seeing the buildings light up in the distance. But it's also a shame that the scenery goes dark. I guess if you are riding across the route while it is nighttime, though, you would see the silhouettes of the castles on the hill, which would be very interesting. You probably wouldn't be able to make them out, but you'd actually see the shape they'd carve into the skyline, which I think would make for some fantastic screenshots if anyone is interested in trying to recreate that. I'd love to see it.
It's gonna be hard to line up, but yes.
I've got a question. Do the wagons have interior lighting?
Yeah.
Yeah, all the coaches should have lights.
But there you go, Papa Charlie. It looks good. Well, I'm glad it does. Again, with this route being quite hilly, even the castle's carving unique silhouette shapes in the distance is nice, but even just the hills as well, you'd get. It's just not something you'd experience in a lot of other routes, I wouldn't think. It's just
Speaking of a
it's
silhouette,
fantastic.
on there.
I'm trying to make it out. I'm trying to make it out on our stream, Matt. I don't know if I can.
No, I think he means a silhouette in front
Silhouette
of
of
the
a
main light.
castle.
Oh yeah, true. Oh, that's really hard to see on the stream because of the compression.
Well, I'm enjoying it.
Well,
That's-
we're watching through Discord, so.
That's nice for you.
It is.
But yeah, you can see the silhouettes in castles in the distance. Oh, is there lighting on the castles themselves? Are they distinguishable in the nighttime?
That's part of the mastery.
Ah, part of the mastery. I won't spoil it no more, but I've been told there's fireworks and festivities, so sounds absolutely fantastic. Oh, I actually have seen a screenshot as well. I believe we may have shown it on one of our articles, but it was like a brilliant uplighting purple color.
Yeah, that will be different. Okay, then what else did we want to show? Did we
Well,
want to
I've
show
got no
anything
coach
else? I'm not
lights.
sure.
Lucas. What am I doing wrong with the coach lights?
You're missing the switch probably. It's so dark I can't see anything. You're missing a.
We'll figure it out and we'll tell you later on.
Yeah.
Very happy with the lighting. It looks wonderful. The controls look very good at night too. And some of the castles being lit up at night as well. Yes, they are. They're really lovely. Okay, this route, one of the key points about this route is the scenery is absolutely fantastic, and team is you can tell the team has put so much passion into this. It's wonderful. And I believe that's all we've showcased. We've showcased the 10 and 10. We've done a 103 service for the first half, and then the 110 service for the second half. A bit of nighttime, a bit of snow. I believe that wraps us up.
Yep. Very good.
Okay, well.
And then switch back to cameras, I guess.
Yes.
Oh.
We are back, and
There we are.
which way to spin? Cat is still here, but it's not about the cat. Thank you everyone for joining us for the Linke Rheinstrecke Mainz to Koblenz preview stream. I've had an absolutely amazing time, and thank you, Lucas, for joining us. It's been a pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me. It's been fun.
And thank you, Matt, for being our silent but passionate driver.
Less
Mostly
silent than perhaps was planned, but
we hope you've enjoyed the preview, and if you want to grab it, it is 10% discount on Steam with a pre-order. The route releases 16th of March, 1 week from now.
Oh,
so
just seen it. Can we have a look at the timetable? People have asked.
Oh yes, sorry, I completely forgot. Let's switch back and take a little peek at the timetable and services. Thank you for that reminder, Lucas. No, that's important.
So BR 110.
Quite a lot for that one. Doing all of the local passenger trains and some of the freight.
An hour and 38 minutes.
Yeah,
Hour and
some of them are
40.
quite long. But the full runs are quite long.
So again, I believe there should be 111 services for the 103 and 100 for the 110. So a huge range of services for you to be able to play. I think from the chat's reaction, the scenery is really killing it, in a good way. It's absolutely fantastic. So I'm glad you're all excited. Again, the route releases 1 week from now, March 16th. If you are playing on Steam, you also get the benefit of a 10% pre-order discount. So
And the scenarios?
we're just taking a peek at the different scenarios and about average, moderate to average difficulty. Perfect to jump into if you want to give yourself a decent challenge, but not something that you couldn't learn.
This bottom one
With a little
actually
bit of-
drove both the 110 and the 103.
Do you switch between them during the scenario?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you drive one down to one end of the route, change over and drive the other one back up the other way again. What else did you want to look at?
That concludes it, right? Or do
Okay.
we want to look at anything? No.
No, I believe that covers everything. So, yes, that covers the preview stream.
Hmm.
Again, thank you everyone for joining us. It's been a pleasure hosting, and again, thank you Lucas, thank you Matt. We've had some fantastic questions, and there was a question in the chat. How much will the route be? $29.99 at standard retail price. So again, it comes out 16th of March. Don't miss it. There's a pre-order discount available for Steam users. BR103, BR110, fantastic scenery.
And we're looking
Thank
forward
you.
to the feedback.
We're looking forward to all of your reactions in a week's time. So that will do us for tonight. Let's end it there. Good night, everyone.
Bye. Matt? No. Okay.